On today's special episode of the Atari 7800 Game by Game podcast, we will be having a draft. Put on a sweater, or you might catch a cold.
Hey, welcome to a special episode of the Atari 7800 Game by Game podcast. Today we're going to do a draft. Now, at the time of this recording, a lot of you have done fantasy football drafts. It's kind of like that. We're going to take turns picking games from the 7800 library during the U.S. release. We're just picking U.S. releases, no homebrews. And yes, that means no Sentinel. And if you pick Impossible Mission, it does have the bug in it. So you're going to have to deal with it just as if you had the actual cartridge. But I'm not alone. I have some guests with me. So first up is Greg from the SNES podcast. Greg, say hello.
Hello, all. Glad to be here.
And we also have Sean and Jim from the Pie Factory podcast. Guys, welcome aboard.
My turn? Okay. Hi. Hello. Awkward.
This is podcasting at its finest.
And the sad thing is, me and Sean used to work in radio.
And you can tell. So let me go ahead. So I actually have a background story. What exactly is going on? Congratulations, guys. You have all been hired to be a janitor with a 1-year contract from Gizmonic Institutes. You will soon be sent off to one of their many satellites where you will be living alone for the next 12 months. Now, thanks to a cheap deal that was cut by Jack Trammell with Gizmonic, each satellite is equipped with an Atari 7800 Pro system. Gizmonic also bought one of every game made for the system in the United States, but we're going to have to share. Each person will only be able to take 12 cartridges with them. And they're going to stay on the satellite when your year is up because they're cheap. And so you can't just pick Mean 18 Golf to flip it when you get back home. Now, you could take any controllers you have with you. They do have CRT TVs up there because, hey. But it's strongly recommended that you don't use the 7800 system to build a robot companion. And that is signed from Professor F and TV's F. So let me tell you about the order. I decided to go in alphabetical order. And I decided to go in alphabetical order based on nicknames I gave each and every one of you. So are you guys ready for your nicknames?
Nope.
Sure. Okay, that's great. All right. Yes, don't all. Okay, first up, the first pick is going to go to Achu Greg. You get it, Achu? You get it? Greg, I have a question for you. Can you name a game for the 7800 that you would like to see either have a remake or a sequel on the SNES?
I would probably say Ball Blazer. That's a game that really was amazing for its time, and they had done a game somewhat similar to it nowadays, like in the form of Rocket League. So I think an updated version of Ball Blazer with 16-bit graphics would make an already great game look and play like more amazing than it already is. Be a lot more smoother. To a lot more faster and just fix the few small bugs it has.
As long as it's better than Space Football, which is kind of like a Ball Blazer on the Super Nintendo. I don't know if you've seen that. That game's terrible.
I've seen a review on it, and yes, it looks terrible.
Absolutely terrible. Next up, the second pick is going to go to Janitor Sean, because on my show, you're always Janitor Sean. Janitor Sean, if you could only take one Bob DeCrescenzo homebrew game with you on your journey, and you're not allowed to take the collection multi-cart, what game would it be?
Oh, wow.
I got you there. I knew what you were thinking.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That is a good question. You know what? I would probably have to say Frenzy/Berserk. Quite simply because I need to play more of each of those games. I need more practice, and I can't get over the intro music on that cartridge. It's like, oh, I almost fell over when I heard that.
How was that? Woo!
Yeah, exactly. Go on. You can always search back, folks, on your pod player.
Okay. And finally, the third pick is going to go to Torgo Jim, because I had to fit Torgo in there somewhere. Name a game that you covered on the Pie Factory podcast that you think would have made a good 7800 game.
Just say Tinkle Pit.
Tinkle Pit. But barring Tinkle Pit, actually one game that I was thinking about a long time ago, and I actually did a bit of a mock-up for her. We haven't talked about yet, but that's going to be on our next episode, which might be out by the time this is released. So I don't know if I should say it or not.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's already, we've already told people what the next.
Oh, that's true.
So.
Sinistar.
Sinistar.
Yeah, that's going to be on the next episode. Episode 39 of Pie Factory might be released before this one, might not be. In fact, I was going to do a little practicing before our little Skype call tonight, but I was practicing another game, Bagman, before we did the call. And yeah, I would like to see Sinistar. Now that I think about it, Bagman would be a good one too, though.
Have you guys covered that yet?
That's going to be on the next episode also.
Well, tell me a game that you already covered.
Talked about yet as of this recording.
Right. Is there a previous one that you've talked about? Maybe Dragon's Lair. Every system
I would
needs
like
Dragon's
to see
Lair.
Phoenix. I would like to see Phoenix on the 7800.
With better sound, I would hope.
Better sound than the 2600 version, yes. But
better sound than the arcade version.
I like the sound in the arcade version. For the time it came out, the sound was quite well done, and I would like to see something arcade perfect on a home platform, because we only got Phoenix on the 2600, and there was a game. I don't remember who did it for the 5200. At least they were working on it. It was just going to be the boss battle sequence from Phoenix. But I would like to see Phoenix on the 7800.
I want to see Flagstaff.
What's that? Flagstaff?
I want to see Flagstaff on the 7800.
Yeah, I'd like to see either Scottsdale or Prescott on the 7800.
Yeah, they're nice too.
So anyway, some of these games have hidden achievements. You pick a game, you hear the bell, and I will tell you what achievement you just got for picking that game. For instance, perhaps I have a sports achievement, and you pick one-on-one basketball. You get that award. Only one person can get the award. I do have some to give out, and I cannot earn them myself. So, gentlemen, if you're ready, are you ready to do the first ever Atari 7800 draft?
It's a lovely bell you have there.
Thank you. It appreciates it.
Oh, I got an achievement already.
Yes.
Roll with it, baby.
The kiss-up achievement. Way to go. All right. Let's go ahead and start the draft. Greg, you get the first pick. What game out of all the games in the 7800 are you taking first?
Well, since I already talked about how great it is, and it's on my Hall of Fame list, Ball Blazer.
Wow, you already got the first, and you know what? I don't like you because I wanted that one. So let's see. We're going to put Ball Blazer as the first one. You actually got 2 of the 7 achievements already. Now, I'll tell you the name of the achievement. You tell me why you got that achievement. The first one is the Super Duper achievement. Why'd you get that achievement, Greg?
Because it's a super duper conversion, like a great game, like my previous system.
I think I know the answer, but I can't get the achievement anyway.
What's the answer?
Isn't Ball Blazer one of the super cartridges or whatever it says on the spine of the box?
Yeah, they're one of the super games. You had that little yellow sticker. That was that's like saying blast processing. It meant nothing, but it was a super game. Well, it was supposed to mean it was the first time on a home console. Didn't always mean that. The other achievement you got, Greg, was the Hokey Pokey. Why'd you get the Hokey Pokey achievement?
Because he turned himself around.
And that's what it's all about.
I have no idea for this one.
This is
Greg!
Easy one, Greg. Come on, think about it.
I'm kicking you off the satellite for that answer. Come on.
Yeah.
Hokey Pokey?
Well, you're
like half my audience just slapped their
How
foreheads.
does that sound to you, Greg?
Well, somebody's got a chip on their shoulder.
It sounds like well, I know it's a dance.
Yeah, Ball Blazer is a dance. It's a very odd one. No, it's because it has the Pokey chip. It's one of the 2 games on the 700 that has the Pokey sound chip, and it has the better sound. So if Phoenix came out, it should have the Pokey chip to make it sound better. All right,
or
so
the Hokey if they ever get that off the ground.
Yeah, exactly. Or Gumby. So next up is Janitor Sean. Janitor Sean, what are you taking with your first pick?
I'm not going to go with the obvious one because I think I've pretty much resigned to the fact that I'm not going to get it. So I'm going to go with something not so obvious. I'm going to go with Centipede.
Centipede? Why'd you pick Centipede?
Because it really is a pretty well done conversion. I mean, yeah, it's not exactly like the arcade game, but it's still good play. It actually does play like it. And part of the reason is that you may have heard, those of you who listen to Pie Factory podcast, which I believe is all three of you guys, we have mentioned our friend Duke, and his game is Centipede. He recently scored over 800,000 on it, and he's been tutoring me for the past couple of years. And I've been practicing on the 7800. There was a time where I just spent a couple of months practicing on the 7800. I went to Underground Retrocade and increased my high score by 100,000 simply by practicing on the 7800 version.
Wow. That's
so if
really
it's
impressive.
that accurate, I can't not pick it. Especially if...
Were you using a trackball when you were practicing?
Actually, I was about 80% of the time I was using the joystick. I was using a joystick. It was probably I think it was the Uber Arcade 8-way joystick. And I eventually got a Seagull 78 and a Sega Sports Pad trackball and started using that.
That's really... Oh, and by the way, you got an achievement. Your achievement is the Atarian achievement. Do you know why you got the Atarian achievement?
Is it because I drafted a game that originated from Atari?
Exactly. And you know how many games on the system actually originated from Atari on the Atari 7800? 3. Oh. Isn't that amazing? Because let's see, I got Food Fight and Asteroids.
Yeah.
Food Fight was technically though a GCE game.
GCC.
GCC.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, GCC.
But it was for Atari, right? They were just a developer, but Atari had the name brand on it.
So
I thought. But anyways, yeah, you would think that an Atari system would have more. I mean, they had some games that were Namco games that were Atari in the arcades in America. Like I think Pole Position was Atari, but it was really a Namco game. But yeah,
Food Fight falls into the same category actually.
I didn't know that. All right.
Food Fight was because of the whole situation with the speed up kit for Missile Command and that lawsuit. Afterwards, Atari went into an agreement or a deal with GCE. They created the 7800 GCC. Why do I keep getting that? I'm thinking Vectrex, and I've never owned one of those.
Yeah, everybody get Jimmy. Get
me a Vectrex.
Get Torgo Jim a Vectrex.
And what happened was, out of that deal, they also produced. They were also contracted by Atari to do 3 arcade games. One was Quantum, which is a vector game, and the other one was Food Fight.
But did GCC retain the rights, or did Atari get the rights?
That's a good question. I don't know if they retained the rights. I don't know.
Technically, I think it's still an Atari game because they retained the rights because it did appear on the first Atari Flashback. But, so I think it still stands. That's just who developed it.
Yeah, that very well could be. But
Torgo Jim, it's your turn with the third pick. We got Ball Blazer and Centipede off the board. What do you want to take?
I'm going to go with Karateka.
Really?
Yeah, because it's just the control is just so good in the game. I mean, you press the button and it just waits for a moment to make sure that is the move you wanted to do. And then the bird in the game. Oh, the bird is just an awesome element, and every game should have a bird in it. And that's why I'm picking Karateka. Or Karateka or Karateka, however you pronounce it.
Okay. I should give you an achievement just for that. That's interesting. Okay. Well, it's my pick, and I'm surprised I get to pick this. I'm picking Food Fight. Food Fight, classic.
I knew I wasn't going to be able to pick that.
Yeah,
you could. It was your turn. You get to pick. You get to pick.
I didn't want to be that guy, though.
Oh, you could be the guy. It's a draft. There's no friends in drafts. Be the guy.
Be the man.
Well, sorry, Food Fight. You fell all the way to 4, but Food Fight is, to me, it's probably the best arcade conversion on the system. To me, in my opinion. I did want to take Ball Blazer, but Achu Greg took it from me. But Achu Greg, you get another choice at number 5. We still got 4 achievements on the board. What are you taking?
Taking another game like my Hall of Fame list. I'm taking a Commando.
Ooh, good pick.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the other Hokey Pokey.
Yep. Very good port. I still personally prefer the NES version, but the 7800 version is extremely good and a lot of fun to play.
Good. Okay, Janitor Sean, you're next.
Wow. Let me think. Let's see. I'm going to draft Asteroids.
Why Asteroids?
It's my favorite of all the Asteroids conversions. It really is.
Very good. Torgo Jim, you're next.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with Real Sports Baseball. Being the Chicago Cubs fan that I am, barring the last 2 seasons, it's real hard for the user to score, to get a home run in this game, kind of like my Cubs in previous years. So I'm picking Real Sports Baseball.
This is going to be an interesting draft. Okay, I get a pick, and I am very happy that Ninja Golf is on the board. I'm going to take Ninja Golf. I mean, come on, it's Ninja Golf. What more do you have to say? It's Ninja Golf. And if I'm going to be on a satellite for 12 months, I think I need some Ninja Golf in my life.
And just like real golf, between holes, you get attacked by ninjas, and you have to fight them off.
I mean, come on. Exactly. To Greg, it's the 3rd round, the 9th pick overall. What are you going to pick?
Well, I was going to take that game. I think you've already taken that one. I will go with the last game, like my top list. I'm going to take the very last U.S. release, Midnight Mutants. Really wonderful, unique, challenging game that's sure to keep you entertained for quite a while. So I don't mind having that game if I had to be locked away with a system like for a year.
And to me, it's kind of like almost the most NES-like game on the system.
Very much, yes.
So, I know you're an NES fan, so it doesn't surprise me you would take that. Awkward silence. Jed or Sean, break the silence.
All right. I am going to take... let me start. You can edit this, right?
I think
I'm sure we can encourage Hyde St. Pierre to help you out for a large sum of money. But
we'll talk about that after the show. Give me his contact information.
I'm going to draft Scrapyard Dog.
Scrapyard Dog.
Because, hey, before we started recording, I decided I've had it in my collection for months in shrink wrap, and I never played it yet. And I was like, you know what? I'm putting it off long enough. Let me try it. I played about 3 minutes worth, and I was loving it. I really was. Maybe it's because I only played 3 minutes worth. I look at it this way. For the same reason that when you asked that first question, which Bob DeCrescenzo, homebrew would I take with me? I'd say Frenzy and Berserk because I need to practice them more. Same thing with Scrapyard Dog. I need to get better acquainted with it, And it's only 12 months. If it turns out I hate it, hey, 12 months goes by fast.
Actually, Scrapyard Dog is a long game. So having a game that takes a long time to beat, like Midnight Mutants takes a lot of dedication to get through the game, I believe. That might not be a bad idea for a 12-month flight. That might do it. Torgo Jim, I hate to ask, but what are you picking?
Well, I'm giving it some thought, and I think I'm going to go with Hat Trick. And I think it's really, really easy it's really nice how that the motion just kind of like jumps when you move, because that makes it a lot easier to follow the action on the screen for those of us who might not process things visually a lot faster than a normal person. And I think that's really a really considerate thing that the programmers at Atari did for that particular arcade conversion. So.
Okay. Oh, this is great. Okay, it's up to me, and I'm going to go against the grain and take Atari Akari Warriors. I actually think it's a really good port of the game. I had a lot of fun with it. I've beat it on the novice level, so maybe I'll get a chance to beat it on the expert with 12 months in space. So Atari Akari Warriors is the last pick of the 3rd round. We're going to start the 4th round, the 13th pick, Lucky 13. Achu Greg, what are you going to go with?
I'm going to take a game that probably nobody else thinks as highly of as I do.
Well, maybe Jim.
And that is Ace of Aces, which I think is a really great port of a game I loved my computer back when
Did you see the sign?
So, yes, I did.
It opened up my eyes. I'm a believer. Hey, Ferg, are you a believer in flight simulators yet? All right. Ace of Aces. That doesn't surprise me. I know you like that game. It's not that bad, and it's a good game for a long period of time because it does take some time. Janet or Sean?
Yes. Oh, same question. Okay. I'm going to draft Jinx.
Really?
Really.
Why are you drafting Jinx?
Because nobody else likes it, so it's like, fine, that means I get it all to myself. So there. I like it. I really do. My only problem with Jinx is the controller. That's it. A game like that, you shouldn't use a joystick with.
Do you think it would have been a lot better if it had a paddle option?
I think so. I really do.
Because I think it does feel like it should have been a paddle game, but they didn't. It's one of those games. It's just like, was that Cracked? That felt like it should be a light gun game, but wasn't.
Mm.
So let's go on. Torgo Jim, I'm wondering, I'm guessing title match, pro wrestling, touchdown. What do you want to pick?
Well, I'm only doing this based on games that I actually own. And I have to go with Super Skateboarding.
Ooh.
Because nothing says, the fun and thrill of skateboarding like turning off the lights in a factory.
And you got an achievement. Congratulations. You got the Unfaithful achievement. Why did you get the Unfaithful achievement?
Because Super Skateboarding is nothing like skateboarding.
No, that's a good guess. Anybody else want to guess why you got the Unfaithful achievement?
Because he's picking games that everybody loves. Not.
You got the Unfaithful achievement for picking a third-party game.
Oh,
you were Unfaithful with Atari. Yeah. So there you go. There you go. There's only three achievements left on the board. It's up to me, and I'm surprised I can get this. I'm getting Ms. Pac-Man. So what can you say? It's classic. It's good. I got my Ed Ladin 4-way controller. That's going to work great with that. So yeah, Ms. Pac-Man is all mine. All right. Achu Greg, it's up to you.
I'm going to go with another port of the computer game that I really loved back when I had it. The 7800 version of Choplifter. Ooh,
okay. Yeah. And by the way, it is an original Atari 7800, the first model, so it is compatible with Choplifter. Because I don't know if you guys know, but Choplifter gives problems to some games, to some systems. It glitches out. And let's see, Janitor Sean, you're next.
Before I go, I might want to say this. I've been keeping track of everybody's games, so I know what's already been picked. And
I've been doing that too, actually.
Yeah. I just thought you'd like to know that that OS 10 El Capitan autocorrects Choplifter to Shoplifter.
That was a very interesting game.
I would.
Oh, you know what? If you turn Super Skateboarding into a department store, skateboarding through and pilfering all of the, I don't know, Gucci handbags or whatever, there you go.
Or you make a 7800 version of Keystone Capers and you can play the bad guy.
Ooh, there you go. But my next pick is going to be Rampage.
Ooh. Go on with Rampage.
Oh, I will.
Go on with your bad self.
Well, it's unique in that it's Activision, and you don't get many Activision titles with the 7800 unless you want to bust into 2600 carts and put those in your system.
Yeah, but why would you want to do that? Well, at least some of the later ones were kind of odd. The 2600 versions of Rampage and Double Dragon were interesting to say the least.
Yeah, and I just have to do this in tribute to King Henry VIII.
All right, Torgo Jim.
Burma. Oh, I'm sorry, I panicked. I've been making my kids watch Monty Python with me. I'm going to have to go with Super Huey. It's nothing says the thrill of flight more than popping in a flight simulator for the Atari 7800 that you bought for like $2, the game that you bought for like $2 at a used game store, unboxed, no instructions, and, fly around for hours seeing nothing. So that's why I'm picking Super Huey.
Okay, I will pick Alien Brigade, which I think is not only one of the best light gun games on the system, but one of the best light gun games of the era.
I have to give you credit because after I wrote in to your show about Alien Brigade, about how I wasn't a huge fan, you said give it another shot. And I gave it another shot, and it actually made it onto my top 10 list of games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's good. It's one of those games that sadly will be lost to time more or less because, it's just one, but it's a good game. All right. Achu Greg, it's up to you. There's still a lot of good titles on the board.
Yes, there are. And if I'm going to be locked away with a system like for a year, I want a game that's very difficult, very challenging, and one I can certainly spend a lot of time practicing to hopefully get somewhat decent at it. And the perfect game for that is going to be the 700 version of Robotron 2084. But
he won the This Week in Robotron award. Way to go, Greg.
Well played, Lemon.
We're gonna have to get him the clip to insert into the audio.
This week in Robotron.
But I will say, like, I want this game. I also want one of like Ed Ladden's like wonderful controllers to properly play the game with.
Yeah, I agree. That's the way to do it. I personally have a hard time enjoying it without a double joystick set. I know, Jim, you can enjoy this either way. Me, not so much.
Robotron on the 7800 is fun to play with two players, with one person controlling the movement and the other person controlling the firing. Me and my brother used to play it like that all the time.
And that's something you don't see a lot in games, is just games where you have to cooperate, where you're controlling like the same thing. There was a game on the Sega Genesis, a Battletech game, where you could do the same thing. One person controls the legs and the other controls the torso, so it turns around and shoots while the other person walks.
Torso? Oh,
so
wait a minute. You said torso.
Anyway, Janitor Sean, what are you taking?
I'm taking Tower Toppler.
Tower Toppler. Interesting. Why are you taking that?
Because as soon as I get into the satellite, I want to shoot it out of the satellite so that nobody else can play it. I freaking hate Tower Toppler on the 7800. It's impossible. And if you flip the difficulty switch in the wrong way, you never get to play it because it keeps skipping screens, and I hate it. The Amiga version and the Commodore 64 version were actually playable and highly enjoyable. The Atari 7800 version, no. Next!
I had the Atari ST
I said
version of
next.
it, and I thought, well, I'm next anyway, so gotcha there. I had the Atari ST version of it, and I thought it was just as the 7800 version was just as hard. It was the same level of difficulty, so I don't know.
You know, and ironically, the Grand Emperor, who has a retro blog, just Twittered me the other day, or tweeted me, or whatever you call it, you kids. And he's like, "What's the deal with Tower Toppler?" And that was his tweet. And he just left it at that. And I was like, well,
did you read that in kind of like a Seinfeld, voice in your head?
What's the deal with Tower Toppler? I can't do a Seinfeld. But now I can't get that out of my head. Thanks. But yeah, Tower Toppler. Ooh. All right, Torgo Jim.
The master would be pleased if I chose Donkey Kong because the audio is just so awesome.
And you have a green gorilla, too. How can you not go right?
Adjust the color on your 7800.
I told you, it's the only thing wrong. Nothing else is the wrong color except Donkey Kong. That's it.
That is, I don't know if it's have you ever tried a different cart or the same cart in a different? Because I've never seen them green unless you adjust the color the wrong way.
Yeah. I only have one 7800, only one Donkey Kong.
Maybe
it's
you
always
have
about you, isn't it, Sean?
That's right.
Hey, you should put it on eBay. The rare green Donkey Kong 7800 cartridge.
Wow.
You can make a fortune.
And you have to have in the listing. You have to have the word "look" spelled with Q's and the word "vintage." Otherwise, you won't get more than $2 for it.
And Holy
rare.
Grail.
And rare, yes. How can you forget rare? With no less than 15 exclamation points.
Exactly. Well, it's up to me, and it's dangerous. It's devious. I'm taking Xevious. It's a great port. Hey, you had a chance. You had to throw Tower Toppler out of the satellite just for your own pleasure there.
That wasn't me.
That wasn't me. That was Greg, man.
That was Greg? Oh, I thought it was.
I'll tell you this. I love Xevious, but I'd rather throw Tower Toppler out than to add Xevious to my draft.
I most prefer the 7800 version of Xevious over the arcade one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. They're just the graphics aren't better. In fact, the graphics I think could be sharpened up a little bit.
Right.
But the I don't know. I think it got everything else. I think it got everything right, and I honestly couldn't tell you. It's just one of those things that you just can't explain under threat of death.
Well, tell you this. Next time you look at the NES version of Xevious, tell me if it doesn't look like someone cut up construction paper and just threw it on the background.
I've seen
the
NES version of Xevious, and it's kind of like if the guys behind South Park made Xevious.
Yeah,
but basically what you said.
Yeah, at least it has some texture. Achu, Greg, you can't pick Xevious. What are you going to pick instead?
I'm going to pick the game that none of us can agree on how to properly pronounce. I'm still going to say Galeraus.
Oh.
Very good port of a great arcade game. Certainly we have a lot of fun playing this.
Yep. Jalaga is yours. Way to go. Janitor Sean, what do you want to throw out the satellite next?
I wish to take with me Joust. Joust.
That is a good. It's amazing that, I mean, the 7800 had some really good arcade ports, and it's kind of surprising that they're lasting. This is the 7th round. This is the 26th pick. It's kind of surprising that they're lasting that long. But it also, I think, goes to show you, outside of some people's list, just the depth that there was in the 7800 library. So let's see. Torgo Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Title Match Pro Wrestling.
Actually, I'm only doing games that I own, and I've never owned that one.
So did you seriously own all these games you've listed so far?
Yeah, actually. Mm-hmm.
Who owns Super Skateboarding and Karateka? And well, actually,
the sad thing is, I bought almost all. I bought all of them at used game stores for like $1.50, the exception of Super Skateboarding, which I bought brand new when it came out for full price.
Mm.
I bought Karateka back around Christmas time, $3 sealed from a video game store, and people told me I got ripped off.
But you know what? I think for my next pick, and I only set aside like 7 picks because I didn't know how far we were going, so this is going to be the last one in my theme. I'm going to have to start going random now.
We have themes.
I have a theme.
Hey, it's some high factory
people. I'm going to go with Desert Falcon.
Ooh.
Yeah, because there's nothing I like better than playing a game whose graphics are so muddy that you can't tell how high you're flying. And my theme is games that I actually hate with a passion.
I was getting some. I actually like Desert Falcon. I actually enjoyed that.
Too.
I bought that brand new, and sometimes you hit stuff, but I didn't think the graphics were muddy. Maybe you have a weird system too. I mean, green Donkey Kongs and muddy graphics. Y'all crazy. My turn. I'm picking Dig Dug. Dig Dug is really good on the 7800. Great gameplay. Yeah, the sound's not perfect, but I like Dig Dug. What can I say? Another great arcade port. Xevious and Dig Dug in the 6th and 7th round. I mean,
think the sound on Dig Dug is quite good. I don't have any problems with it.
Well, I can't play the 7800 Dig Dug ever since I played the XE version of Dig Dug many years ago, because to me, that one is the ultimate home port of Dig Dug, the Atari XE version.
I didn't even know that there was an XE version. So that's
actually, funny story, I've got Sean's copy of it.
Actually, it's my brother's.
Well, true, but that's the one you played.
Yeah, it is. But yeah.
Yeah, funny story. Hachi Greg, it's your turn. 8th round, 29th pick overall. What are you picking?
Speaking about a good arcade games ported over to 7800 very well, but with terrible sound, I'm taking Donkey Kong Jr.
As soon as you heard it said terrible sound, I knew what you were going to say. But you have to agree it's better than 2600 sound.
Yes,
that
it is.
sound of Donkey Kong Jr. climbing up those vines is like nails on a chalkboard. And I think that's exactly what they recorded and digitized. Let's see. And Donkey Kong Jr. is another great game. That would have been that might have been one of my next picks.
I've actually preferred Junior like over Kong anyway, so
I do too.
This.
Yeah, I like it over Kong too. Janitor Sean.
Well, thank you for asking, Phil. I do believe next I shall. Now, you did say that the satellite's going to have all the controllers I need, right?
Well, you can bring any controller you want with you.
Oh, but they're not going to provide the controller?
Well, they may be missing some of the EdLAD and stuff. You'd have to get that yourself, because they're kind of cheap.
Oh yeah, sure, I could. Yeah.
But yeah, let's say that your standard controllers, you have your standard joystick, your light gun, your paddle. Well, you don't need paddles. Yeah, you got it.
All right, so in that case, I'm going to choose Barnyard Blaster because right now I can't play it at home. So if I can play it with a light gun, if they have it on the satellite, I'm bringing that with me so I can actually play it.
Well, and you got the CRT award, which I think should be pretty self-explanatory. Would someone like to explain it to me?
You have to have a CRT television to play this.
Right, it's a light gun game. You need a CRT television,
which I don't have. Will there be a CRT on the satellite?
Yeah,
if you were listening, I did said that. Yeah, it's
Monday.
It's Monday,
Focus.
Speaking about listening, that's one achievement left, right?
There's one achievement left, and it's it might not get picked. We'll see if it gets picked. All right, let's see. Torgo Jim.
Yo. Okay, since I can't do my theme anymore because I wasn't sure how many games we were doing when we set this up, and that's all the bad games I can think of that I
Pick
actually
something
own.
good. I actually want to hear what you would like to play. This would be refreshing to me.
Dark Chambers.
Really?
Yes.
Why Dark Chambers?
People keep saying that it's a slowed down, watered down version of Gauntlet, and it's a slow version of Gauntlet. I've actually played the Atari 8-bit computer game Dandy, which Gauntlet is based on, and by extension, Dark Chambers is also based on it. And Dandy on the Atari 8-bit computers is actually, or Dark Chambers is actually the game Dandy, except with graphics, and it's sped up just a little bit over the game, and it plays almost exactly like Dandy on the 8-bit computer. And if you look at it in that lens, instead of being a poor man's Gauntlet, you can have a lot of fun with the game. And I've been actually playing it quite a bit lately, and I kind of like it, just for those reasons.
And it's got a really good intro screen. That
has
screen
a good,
of the intro.
The only thing I don't like about it is when it goes from level to level. It says entering level A or whatever. That screen looks exactly like the Atari 2600 version of the same screen. Other than that, I don't have any issues with the game.
Wow. Yeah, it is. It is one of those kind of love it or hate it kind of games. Last pick in the 8th round is mine, and I'm going to take Xenophobe. I enjoyed Xenophobe. It's a game I know all the guys look like Jean-Luc Picard. I wish you could be Dr. Quack. I really do. But it's a fun game and one that I enjoy to this day. So Xenophobe is my pick.
I'm actually trying to work on a hack of it to change the character into Dr. Quack.
That would, I think that, I wonder how many people, if you just change that, it would change the game's opinion to them. You know, like
probably not a lot because you still can't choose all of the other characters, but
everybody chooses Dr. Quack, so it doesn't matter.
That's true.
And
I've never played with Dr. Quack, but then I don't really find myself playing Xenophobe a lot. So,
I like Xenophobe.
I do too. I
think
it's
because of Porter Muncher arcade games, but I get enjoyment out of it, so I'm not going to complain.
I think it's just that I'm terrible at it.
Well, there is that.
Yeah, the game's good. Much better than 2-player.
The
creator of Xenophobe handed my butt to me on that game.
There's a video on YouTube of myself, or Sean, myself, and King Henry VIII, otherwise known as Brian Colin, the creator of Xenophobe, actually playing the game together. So
yeah, and he's schooling you all. But hey, I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. It's his baby. All right. To Greg, 9th round, 33rd pick overall. What are you taking?
Still some good games here on the list. I'm going with another game that I also loved back when I played as a kid, playing on a computer, and got ported over very well like to the system. I'm taking Winter Games.
Winter Games. All right.
Some very fun mini games on here. So,
what's your favorite mini game or event in Winter Games on the 7800?
I actually like the ski jump the best.
Oh, do you?
Yes. Very challenging, very fun.
I think a lot of people prefer the what is that sled one called? Bobsled.
Oh, Bobsled. Bobsled's also very good.
I think that was the only good event on the NES version. That's another game that far outshined the NES version. I don't know if you've played the NES version of Winter Games. It's terrible.
I have. The main thing I like about it is that it has some different events than this version does. But I had the C64 version, the kid, which was the superior version to everything. So.
Well, yeah, but I mean that figure skating event. Come on, seriously. Okay, Jared or Sean, you're up.
All right, next off, I'm going to pick what is not one of my favorite games, but it is actually a kind of a ripoff of one of my favorite arcade games, and that's going to be Basket Brawl. Partly because a friend of mine wrote the manual for it, so I have to take a little bit of friends with me onto the satellite. So, you know, I got to take it. I got to take Basket Brawl.
Yeah, and Scott Rhodes is just an awesome guy. He's just really, and that story, if you heard the episode, the interview that he did with me via email, the fact that he had the original Atari Lynx in his possession, he was the one who took it from Epix to Atari headquarters. That his hand was like the little hand picture that's on the back of it. That was his hand, and he got some insights. I mean, he met Jack Trammell in the urinal stall next to him in the bathroom. I mean, come on, that's just great. Torgo Jim, tell me a game you'd actually play.
I'm going to go with Crossbow.
Ooh, we got the last one.
Yay.
Yep, you got the last one. You got the Watch Out for Snakes award.
Watch out for snakes.
Gee, I wonder why. Because there are snakes in the game?
Uh,
I'm sick of these. Never mind. I'm not going to say it. In my game.
No, you got the Watch Out for Snakes. Crossbow has snakes. Also, Alien Brigade and Ninja Golf also had them. I don't know if any other game had snakes in it. I was going through. I was like, does it have snakes? I couldn't remember, but Kung Fu Master also had snakes in it. So that would have been another one.
Snakes, didn't it?
I didn't think so.
No.
It had some weird things, but
Like snakes.
I was going to say the homebrew worm had snakes in it, but that's actually a worm.
Watch out for worms doesn't have the same ring to it, though.
No.
Watch out for worms.
Why Crossbow?
It's a really, really good port of the arcade game. I've never played it with the light gun. I've just played it with the joystick, and it's still very, very playable with the joystick.
And I can actually shoot people with, or not people. Well, yeah, I guess I can.
Hey,
I can actually
don't shoot your friends.
I can actually shoot things with it, unlike with the arcade game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean, you're playing it wrong. You're supposed to not shoot your friends. Don't shoot your friends. Some people, I tell you.
Well, in my pick, I'm going to take Mario Brothers. And I think it's actually a fun port of the game, and I actually prefer it over the NES version. I think the NES version is a little more faithful to the arcade game, which leads me to believe I might not like the arcade version as much as the 7800 version, but I do like the original Mario Brothers. And part of it, I bought it because it was just Mario Brothers. I had no idea what the game was when I got it originally, but I do like it. It's a single screen arcade game. It's pretty good.
So, hey, Sean, real quick, what episode of our podcast was it when we talked about Mario Brothers? Do you remember? It was an early one.
Oh, yeah, it was fairly early. It was like number 8 or something.
Yeah, when we talked about it, we paired up Mario Brothers and Joust in the same episode. The theme was my idea because if you look at it, the screen layout looks almost exactly the same. And the more we talked about it, the more we realized that the games are almost exactly the same game.
And after you guys brought that up, I can never see Mario Brothers the same again, because now I see it. I totally agree. It's very Joust-like. It's Joust on your feet.
Oh, that's episode 8 for sure, by the way.
There we are.
PieFactoryPodcast.com has all the shows listed there.
Plug.
We're getting towards the end. We're round 10 of 12. Greg, the 37th pick is yours. What are you going to take?
Logical companion to winter games. I'm taking summer games.
Okay. What's your favorite summer game event?
I really enjoy the 100-meter dash, the shortest event, like the dashing ones, the running ones. I think it's 100 meters.
I do not. This is me. Confession. Any event, like the events where you just wiggle the joystick back and forth rapidly and you're just wearing it out. I don't like that. I don't enjoy those events. I don't like some versions of track and field that do that. So I'm not. But
I wonder how that game would work with the track and field controller.
You know what? I got one in the mail on the way. So I might be able to try it out. And you know what I've heard? There's a member named Ballblazer over at the forums at Atari.io. He got one, and he was telling me that Space Invaders on the 2600 works really good with the track and field controller.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Ooh, I never even thought about that. That would work excellent with that, because that's what the arcade was like.
Exactly, yeah, 2 buttons.
And when he said that, it opened my eyes. I'm like, oh my goodness, almost any shooter like that, Phoenix or Demon Attack, you could use that controller with.
Well, Phoenix, if you didn't want to use the shields.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about the shields.
Okay, that's another strategy.
Yeah, that's something to think about. Jander, Sean?
I'm going to go with Motorcycle.
Okay.
Which, full disclosure, I've never actually played. I've only seen screenshots of it, and I do actually have a box and manual for it, but not the actual cartridge.
Because you bought PAL. Did you buy the PAL version? Is that what it was?
No, I don't have a version at all.
How'd you get just the box and the manual?
It's a long story. It's a long story. It's called It Was Cheap, and I didn't care if it was fake or not. So, but the thing is, I figured I'd eventually find it with like a standalone cartridge. So I figured I might as well it was cheap enough. I figured I might as well just get the box and manual and get ready for it. But the thing is, I do enjoy a good racing game. And this is, as far as I know, besides Pole Position 2, this is the only racing game ever put out for the Atari 7800, including homebrews.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Now that you say it, I can't think of any homebrews.
Man, I would love to see something like Turbo Outrun, for example.
I would like to see someone try and make a Road Rash style game. On the 7800.
Yeah.
I think it could be, because when I played Motorcycle, the graphics are very Road Rash-ish. It shouldn't be too much of a stretch to, expound upon that and make a Road Rash game. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah.
If you changed it to a car in Motorcycle, wouldn't it be the same as the arcade game Road Blasters?
Well, you can't shoot in Motorcycle.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, you see.
And full disclosure, I'm not a racing fan, but I love racing video games because really, it doesn't interest me to watch people make a left turn for several laps.
As George Carlin once said, driving 500 miles in a circle does not impress me.
Yeah, pretty much. Torgo, Jim, what does impress you? Give me a game that you will pick and actually play and actually enjoy.
There's only a couple more on this list that I actually own, so I'm going to go with one of them. And I think I'll go with one-on-one basketball.
I think that's a good game. I think it's,
in my opinion, out of all the sports titles I've played on the 7800, that one is the best one. Now, I've never played Pete Rose baseball, so I can't say on that one how good that one is. But one-on-one basketball is a really good game, and it really shines as a two-player game. And it makes use of both buttons on the controller well, I think. And that was just fun. And then, of course, the whole reason we call him Janitor Sean
exactly
is because you do a slam dunk and you break the backboard, and then he comes out, sweeps it up, gives you a little bit of an attitude, and walks off the screen. And it's also a pretty good adaptation of the PC game. But I think it's actually more suited to the console like this than it is not the PC, but like the Atari 8-bits.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Right. Well, I'm going to pick a sport game that I think is a little bit better than it. Just a little bit, because I like one-on-one basketball. I'm going to take Mean 18 Ultimate Golf. I actually really enjoyed this game. It's if you played PGA Tour on like the Genesis or Super Nintendo, it reminds me of an 8-bit version of that. And I like those games. Maybe it's just me, but I'll take Mean 18 Ultimate Golf and play some golf in space. Greg. What's that?
I so want that game. I've heard nothing but good stuff about it.
Oh, see, it's one of those games that I think like it's expensive. It's one of the more expensive titles, and it's a golf game, and that probably doesn't usually excite the arcade-based crowd, which is what a lot of 7800 fans are, so True. I'm surprised. But yeah, it is actually a good game if you like golf games. Greg, what are you going to take in the 11th round?
I'm taking a game I've not played a lot of, and I would like to play more, so this is a great chance to be able to do so. Fatal Run.
Okay.
Yep. I really like the gameplay. I like the challenge, and I think it's like a pretty unique game.
And that's a game that is similar to Road Blasters.
Yes.
That's the game I was thinking of.
In many ways. It's actually almost an upgraded version because you can buy weapons and decide which ones to use, and yeah.
Side note, I will say the 2600 version of this game it makes it more impressive. The fact that you're able to
really,
this is a good version, but the fact that you're able to get this game to play and look as well as it did the 2600 is just simply mind blowing.
Yeah, well, I think the 7800 version is pretty impressive too because it has parallax scrolling in it.
Yes, it does.
Which surprised me. I didn't know the 7800 could do that. It's amazing what the 7800 could do if the programmers knew how to program it and weren't just some cheap company that was farmed out by Atari saying, hey, make this as cheap as you can, which I think sadly they did sometimes. Janitor Sean, what would you like to do with the 42nd pick overall?
Wow, 42nd pick. What I would like to do is pick something that kind of I mentioned before how I have to take a little bit of my friends with me. I also should take a little bit of other things that I enjoy, particularly unlike certain podcasters aboard this draft. I actually do enjoy watching certain NFL football. Now, so I'm going to pick touchdown football. And I'll tell you why. It's because touchdown football, you read the manual, you do what the manual says, and what's really amazing is that the game will randomly decide what is actually going to happen. So you never know what's going to happen, whether the smart thing's going to happen, whether they're going to do something really dumb. It'll be exactly like watching the Chicago Bears. Just like watching my team.
You mean they can do something good? I mean, Oh, dear me. Yeah, touchdown football. Okay, Torgo Jim.
I'm going to pack it in here. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm going to choose the pack in here. I'm going with pole position 2.
I thought you already packed it in at the beginning. Okay, pole position 2. Do you actually enjoy pole position 2?
Yeah, actually, I do, and it's the game that actually got me interested in the 7800 in the first place. Because way back when, early on in the Ferg, when they had, I was reading a magazine and they showed a picture of pole position 2 on the 7800, and they said, "Hey, that's the pack," and I'm like, "Whoa!" And I know a lot of people think pole position 2 is kind of a poor pack-in, and not a lot of people really like it, but I really like it. I think it's a well-done version of the arcade game. Yeah, the graphics aren't the same, and it doesn't have the voice.
What? Who called me?
But I think it's competent. I have fun playing. I don't pop it in every time I fire up the 7800. The only
Speaking
game
of which, why isn't voice part of this?
I am right here.
Probably.
Sean,
Why isn't voice
Sean,
moderating this?
Jim,
You guys
Greg,
can't hear him.
why does
talking.
everyone ignore
you guys
me?
Just can't hear him.
Voice
All
is
right.
keeping score.
Great draft, Phil. You are really cleaning their clocks in this one.
Yep, that's right, voice. All right. So anyway, yeah, pole position 2, it's not that bad. I think part of the problem is a lot of 7800 owners got burned out on it because, you played it so much.
I see what you did there. It's a racing game.
Yeah. But it is good for what it is. It is good. And I'm going to take a game that I doubt anyone else would have took. I'm going to take F-14 Tomcat. It's a flight simulator, and it's actually really good. The 2600 version is a really impressive game, and they actually did a good job upgrading the graphics. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think it's a good flight simulator for the system.
That was actually going to be my next pick.
Was it really?
Simply because I haven't played it yet, and I just recently acquired it.
It is good. It's one of those games you got to use all the system switches. It uses the difficulty switches and stuff like that. You have to sit up close. Okay, Achu, Greg, what's your last pick?
Speaking about games that I don't think anybody else is going to grab, which I actually do like this game, and I remember back when you covered it, not many people share that opinion. But I'm going to take like Planet Smashers, because I think it's a pretty decent shooter.
And actually, that was going to be my next pick if it was still available. So that's not a terrible pick. It's a decent shooter, like you said, decent shooter. You got bosses. The background and the enemies can get bland after a while, but you can power up. It's good. It's good. Jad or Sean, your last pick.
My last pick is going to be something that it's another one of these things where in real life I really have no interest in. I have no interest in. Sorry about the dangling preposition there. And this is going to be Pete Rose Baseball, because I do enjoy playing baseball games on video game systems, and I've never played Pete Rose Baseball before. I'm glad it's going to be on the satellite for me. I've heard good things about it. I want to check it out. And, so there you go.
By the way, Pete Rose Baseball is really good. On the 2600, it's incredibly impressive. Yes. 7800 version was like slightly upgraded, like they could have done more with the graphics, but the 2600 version, that is amazing what they fit on that cartridge. Absolutely amazing. Torgo Jim, it's your last pick. What are you taking?
Okay, well, if I can take a game with me on the Satellite of Love, I would take Water Ski. I don't own it. In fact, I've run out of games that I own. But Water Ski is worth a lot of money on eBay, so I could probably sell it to finance my way off of the satellite.
Were you listening? You can't sell the games. Anyway.
Oh, in my fantasy world, I can.
But if you were going to do that, you should have took Tank Command instead. But that's okay.
That was the more rare. Oh, well. Still, people think I'm rich.
Yeah, Water Ski is only a rarity 4. I mean, I have Rampage. I have Rampage CIB, and that's a rarity 5, and I didn't really pay much for it.
And I like the powder blue box that Rampage came in. It's so off. It's like cool. It's a very interesting choice.
Well, and nobody else was going to choose Water Ski anyway, so there.
I thought about it.
Well, that doesn't pay the bills.
Well, the reason I didn't is just because that game is so frustratingly difficult.
But it makes really good use of the ProLine controller, because each of the buttons you move to the other side. True. So you push to the right to go to the right side, left to go to I've never met a game that made better use of the actual ProLine controller. And it's probably the best way to play it. Actually, the track and field controller might work with that game too. But no, it wouldn't, because that wouldn't be. Never mind. What am I thinking? What I'm thinking is it's my last pick, and I'm going to take the other Activision game, Double Dragon. I actually owned this growing up. You do have to spam a lot to win this game, but I actually enjoy it. It's one of the few games that you can beat, and it's not. Once you get used to it, it's not that bad, at least in my opinion. So there we go. That is the final round. Let's see what games we got left on the board here, and see what anyone thinks of the games. Kung Fu Master. What do you guys think of Kung Fu Master? Is it really that bad?
Like, if there had been one more round, this would have been like my last pick, because I think this pales to the NES version, but it's still like an okay game. So this is a game like pop in and play in short bursts.
I don't own it, but it looks impressive from what I've seen in emulation so far.
Never played it, and I'm not into martial arts games.
Yeah, I
Except
played
Ninja
it.
Golf.
Well, I actually think it's okay. It's fun. I like Kung Fu Master. I actually think it's one of these games where on the 2600, it's more impressive for what it does, even though it's basically the same thing, but I like it. What about Impossible Mission? Can you get enjoyment out of Impossible Mission with the bug that makes it impossible?
No.
Me neither. I really want to get a cartridge of Possible Mission, but it's never available.
Yeah.
I have no opinion on it, one way or the other.
Yeah.
I've tried playing Impossible Mission on my Sega Master System, but every time I do, it feels like the game Zillion on the Sega Master System, which is almost the same thing.
Right. I remember playing Zillion on the Master System and thinking, this is Impossible Mission with a gun.
I love Zillion. Zillion's a great game.
I'm guessing, does anybody have an opinion on F-18 Hornet?
Yeah. I also like this game. It definitely requires a lot of time, a lot of practice. But if you're on the sideline for 12 months, this is a good game to take, because you'll get a lot of time to be able to get used to it. So,
you know what? When I got my Atari 7800 10 years ago, that was one of the games that came with it when I bought it off of Breakback on Atari Age, and I have yet to even put it in the system yet.
I don't know if I own that one.
It's impressive because it's like the only polygonal game on the 7800, but it's like polygonal, like they use polygons. It's a little bit on
I thought when you said polygonal that the game has its own show on TLC or something.
But it's a little bit on rails, like you always have to go forward. Mm-hmm. You can turn around, but you can't, like, not in mid-flight. You can only turn around when you're landing. But you can still move around the screen going in front of you. But it's impressive. It needed more power to really be good, but it's impressive. Tank Command. Anyone have any thoughts on Tank Command?
Did not have any fun with this. It's too boring.
Don't know it at all.
I played it a little bit in emulation, and it seems like it could be fun, but I'd have to spend more time with it.
Well, it is interesting that you have to measure your shot. Like, you can't just shoot. You have to decide how far it's going to go. But it isn't, and it's the most expensive game on the 7800. It's a $100 game, usually loose. Cracked. Sadly, has nothing to do with the magazine. Any thoughts on Cracked?
Yeah, one. Ugh.
Another game that I own that I haven't played yet.
I own it. I was choosing games that I own. I forgot I owned this one.
Wow.
There's probably good reason I forgot.
The more games I talk about here that I realize I own that I haven't played yet, and I realize that it sucks having a job.
Yes, it does.
Okay, Map Mania Challenge. Any thoughts on Map Mania Challenge?
Awful, terrible. Burn it.
Yet another one I've never played. I don't even own that. I'm going to take Greg's word for it. Yeah,
I'm gonna defer to Sean's opinion.
And you know what? Map Mania Challenge is one of these games that I've seen all the time on eBay, because I'm constantly looking for 7800 stuff on eBay, and it's always available. It's always available new, and I've seen a lot of cases where it's 6 games in a box, a case, and I'm guessing no one ever buys them. But they're still trying to sell cases of Map Mania. Anyone want 6 copies of Map Mania Challenge? It's interesting. Give those out at Halloween. Fight Night. Anybody have a thought on Fight Night?
Really terrible boxing game.
You know what? The practice rounds are okay, but then when you go into a real match, suddenly nothing works.
Yeah, it's horrible. Is this another game you own, Jim, that you've never played?
Nope, I've never owned this one.
I know what you're getting for Christmas.
Anybody ever play Meltdown?
No.
I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, I did an emulation, and it's okay. I just think if the game was tweaked a little bit to not be so insanely difficult, and just the objects were a little bit easier to hit,
they're very tiny.
This could have been really a fun game. But as it is, it's borderline meh.
Yeah, and they basically took Reactor, which was an arcade game, and on the 2600, and they turned it to a light gun game, and it wasn't
Reactor.
but in this case, it wasn't pretty. And then Title Match Pro Wrestling. What do you guys think of Title Match Pro Wrestling?
Actually,
I
worse
try
than
not
that
to.
Mania Challenge.
Never played it. Probably never will. Don't care about wrestling.
Yeah, it's not good. So I just want to go over these lists real quick, and you guys can share any thoughts on your lists before we head on out. Achu Greg, let's see. You got Ball Blazer, Commando, Midnight Mutants, Ace of Aces, Choplifter, Robotron, Galaga, Donkey Kong Jr., Winter Summer Games, Fatal Run, and Planet Smashers. You happy with that?
Very happy. I think I got the best games in the system.
You got Ball Blazer, and that's my favorite game on the system, I think. I like Commando, too. Commando's really good. And your first two picks were both Hokey Pokey picks, so there you go.
Side note, I really wish that Rescue and Fractals had come out, because that had been in the works, but that never actually came out as a system. If that had come out, that would have been by my list, too. But it's a shame.
Yeah, and that was out on the 5200, wasn't it?
Yep.
So
they were planning on making 7800. There was a demo of it out there, but it never got finished for some reason.
Yeah, and I'll be talking about that on the next episode of the Atari 7800 Game by Game podcast when I talk about prototypes, because I just for the first time last night played the prototype of that, which is really not a lot. It's just a little something. Janitor Sean, you got Centipede, Asteroid, Scrapyard Dog, Jinx. You just, that's so kind of you to draft it that high. Rampage, Tower Toppler, Joust, Barnyard Blaster, Basketball, Motorcycle, Touchdown Football, Pete Rose, Baseball. What do you think of your list?
I was kind of thinking about this several draft picks back, and this whole thing kind of reminds me of the Galloping Ghost Arcade has their achievement booklets in which a lot of the achievements are if you play such and such a game, you play this game, that game, whatever. And a lot of them are games that people don't normally play. And this is kind of doing what that would be doing. It's encouraging me to play games I don't usually play all that much. I don't play Barnyard Blaster because, well, I don't have a light gun or a CRT. I don't play basketball all that much. I like Jinx, but I don't play it that much. Scrapyard Dog, I just played for the first time literally tonight. And this is basically forcing me to play some ignored games while at the same time I get to practice on arcade conversions like Centipede and Joust.
Yeah, because if all else fails, you can just play Centipede and Joust, right? I mean, you'd be happy with that.
And of course, Asteroids, yeah.
Yeah, and then Jim, you masochist, you got Karateka, Real Sports Baseball, Hat Trick, Super Skateboarding, Super Huey, Donkey Kong Desert Falcon, Dark Chambers, Crossbow, 101 Basketball, Pole Position 2, and Water Ski. If you were going to pick three games that you really had to take with you that you really liked, any games, what games would you pick? Because you did a bunch of games you hate. What games do you really like?
Food Fight, Asteroids, and Robotron. Well, no. Swap Robotron for Xevious.
There you go. That sounds like a much better time and space. Yeah. Anything you want to add about your list?
One thing we talked about I believe when we had you on our show a while back, and also when me and Sean were on the Super Podcast Brothers, is that one thing that shined with the early arcade titles, especially Centipede and Asteroids, was the 2-player at the same time component, and the Asteroids is hands down the best version of Asteroids on any home system ever. Mainly because, well, the graphics are great and the use of sound is great on it, but the 2-player competitive and team play bring that up to a whole nother level. And if there's one game on the 7800 which I would love to see a sequel to on the same system, it would be Food Fight. And I had an idea for Food Fight. If I was a programmer, I'd try to make it happen, where it would be a one-on-one competitive thing, and every round would be like a battle, and it'd be kind of like round-based play, like Mortal Kombat. But instead of fighting with your fists and stuff, you would actually be fighting against each other with the food, and they would all have like different properties. Like if you got hit with a cream pie, it would restrict your movement because you can't see. If you got hit with a banana, you would slip, and you couldn't move for a few seconds because you slipped on the banana peel. And whoever hit the other one a certain number of times in the round, wins the round, and you move on. And
Charlie Chuck wins. Flawless. Oh, by the way, this reminds me, Phil, the special parts, if we need to make robot friends so we can have these like 2-player centipede things, are the special parts coming from the 7800?
Yeah, that's why you weren't supposed to use them. But there's some SNESs on board. You can go at them all.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to build mine out of the Coleco Chameleon.
Okay, well,
sorry, SNES. What's the difference?
If you could build a robot out of a system, out of a console, which system would you pick?
I'm going to say the Intellivision because I liked the Intellivision when I was a little kid, and my cousins had it, and one of my best friends as a kid had it. And then when I got one myself 10 years ago, I hated it, and it was a big disappointment. So I'm thinking, okay, if maybe it's a disappointment as a console, it won't be a disappointment as a robot friend.
It would have a very cool voice.
I was just thinking that, but you would have to have the voice module.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I would use a Vectrex.
Ooh.
I could see like the using the screen as the face, using the vector-based graphics for the eyes and the mouth. That would be really cool.
And have like overlays for sunglasses.
Yeah, or for moods, like when he's happy, you put a blue overlay. When he's mad, you put the red one on there. Like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. So that's very cool. All right. Well, any other thoughts before we guys go on our draft or anything else retro?
Yeah, retro, man.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
That's Freedom Rock, man. Turn it up.
And Greg, where can people find you if they're interested in your podcast and whatnot?
Rhode Island, right?
Yes. We have a very active Facebook page. You can also send me an email directly to the SNESpodcast@yahoo.com. Then our podcast is available on both iTunes and Libsyn.
And how many episodes are you into now on the
55.
SNES? 55. My goodness, that's crazy. What was the last episode you did?
Last episode we did was on. I actually have to think about this here, for a moment. I'm doing too many podcasts. It was on. Super Mario RPG.
Ah, okay, yeah, Super Mario RPG. Still waiting for your Power Pig episode.
But our next episode is going to be on the Super NES version of Wing Commander.
Ah, there you go. Torgo Jim, where can people find you?
Usually at the homeless shelter in downtown Joliet. No, you can find us at piefactorypodcast.com. You can email us at piefactory or piefactorypodcast@fab4it.com. We're on Stitcher, iTunes. We're in the Google Play Store. Yep. We're on Facebook. We're if you really try really hard, if you go into into a Goodwill shop or whatever, there might just be a stack of punch cards that we've converted all of our audio from MP3 into punch cards. Now you'll probably have to get a couple of of the big semi-trailer loads of the punch cards, and you have to feed them in carefully in an order. But you can get us on punch cards as well.
And also, if you happen to be traveling into Indonesia, you can ask one of the local Jakartans if there are any podcasts about ding-dongs.
Yes. People who listen to Pie Factory know the story about that. We actually got reviewed by a blogger over in Indonesia, which I was just every now and then I'll do a Google search for our podcast to see if anyone's talking about us, and lo and behold, and it's kind of humbling to know that people around the world are listening to you.
That is crazy. I remember when I did a review on YouTube of Tax Avoiders, there was a guy from a different country, I could tell by the English, who said, "Thank you, I finally understand how to play the game." I don't know if that was good or not, but it was like, wow, I taught someone around the globe how to play Tax Avoiders.
You mean the game that you have a world record on? Oh,
maybe one or two, but who's counting? But
he says as he breathes on his fingernails and buffs him on his shirt.
Yeah, it's so ironic that out of all the games, it ended up being Tax Avoiders. But hey,
somebody else was attempting it.
Yeah. Actually, there was actually a world record on there, and I don't think I eclipsed it by that much, so I felt a little bad, but I thought no one else would have had it, honestly. I'm like, who's going to play Tax Avoiders? But hey, what have you. Janitor Sean, I know your Pie Factory. Anything you want to add to what Jim said?
Hello.
That's great. All right, guys.
How's it going?
Well, if that's all, guys, thank you for attending tonight. Thank you, listener, for listening. Are you on Patreon, Greg?
No, I'm not.
Okay. If you want to support my show or the Pie Factory on Patreon, you can go ahead. We'd appreciate that. Just go to patreon.com and search for either of our shows. If you want to support Greg, download an episode of the SNES podcast. I'm sure he'd appreciate it, and you could probably just send him money in the mail. He'd be happy with that. And go ahead, like
pennies.
Yeah.
Make sure you send him pennies.
Next episode of the Atari 7800 Game by Game podcast will cover prototypes. So I'm talking about games like Plutos, Sirius, Clax, Missing in Action. If you have any thoughts on those, you want to send them in, go ahead. I will include that in that episode. And then after that's going to be our Hall of Fame and Trash Bin shows, where you're going to tell me the top 5 and bottom 5 games on this system. And we're going to put all the votes together and figure out once and for all what's the best and the worst. Thank you guys for listening. And remember, games are fun, but always keep first things first. I will catch you later.
I'm going to request something be edited out.
Watch out for Snake.